I don't know about this. Gordy Little in high definition with 2 teeth missing. No real smile, no real broad smiles today. 4th of July, 2010, downtown Plattsburgh on Cumberland Avenue between Lorraine Street and Durand Street. The parade is about to get underway. And guess what the theme is for 2010, folks? Red, white, and blue. Is that appropriate or what? I have no idea how many of these 4th of July parades Calvin and I have covered for Hometown Cable in our little corner, but it's more than 3. And a few of them have been much warmer than this one in 2010. We're probably very close to 90 degrees now. I remember one. When we started up near the college, that was about 97 or 98. I remember another where it rained so hard we had to make a mad dash for our cars. But every one of them was fantastic. I think there will be about 35 units, and guess what? I've got who we got to thank for this? Kelly Donahue. Oh boy, Emergency Preparedness Office actually gave us a list of the elements in this parade. I won't know how to act with them when I actually know what the floats are coming through. This is going to be a good parade. There's so many things going on in our nation and in our world in this year 2010. It's about time we all grab a flag and wave it and remember where we came from. And I guarantee you this, folks, 2010 and the 4th of July parade in downtown Plattsburgh is a long ways from the first 4th of July parade, which was on the Potomac River, and it involved boats, in case nobody told you that. You can Google it and find out. We're going to have a good time today no matter what. We hope to talk to people and wave at lots of folks in the parade. I've already had about 3 Facebook messages and 7 emails this morning. Gordy, don't forget to wave at us. We're going to be on such and such a float, and you know that we will. The 4th of July parade in downtown Plattsburgh in 2010. Yeah, we've started early. I saw at least the police car pulled up 50 feet and stopped, and the fire truck pulled up 50 feet and stopped. We're near the intersection with Lorraine Street, right around the corner from the Kent DeLord House on Cumberland Avenue. One of the prettiest streets in Plattsburgh, in case you don't live here. And it's got a tremendous amount of history. I believe the first graveyard in Plattsburgh was here on Cumberland Avenue, somewhere, I'm not sure where. Of course, we got the wonderful Champlain Monument across from the Kent DeLord House, and a lot of historical homes down on this end of town, occupied by prominent families, including many politicians. I have to say, on this 4th of July 2010, there were far less people lining the roadway, at least here, than we've seen in years past. It's not because it's a bad day. The weather is beautiful, high 80s, probably 87 or 88 degrees now, as we're only about 7 minutes before 2 o'clock.
Well, I think what happened is a lot of people believed what they read and heard, that this parade was going to start at Wilcox Dock. So I think the people have lined up and kind of spread themselves out, and they're going to be disappointed if they don't start making it that way down here. More and more people are starting to make their way down here.
I know you and I were confused into thinking it might start there, and we normally ensconce ourselves somewhere near the Elks Club here in Cumberland Avenue, and it proves we got in the right location. So that was probably where the lineup spot was meant to be, huh?
Yeah, I mentioned that to Kelly Donahue, and he said, yeah, he didn't know why that was put out that way. He says that's where the end of the parade starts, not the front end, but the back end. So
there is a difference.
So I asked him about, because he said he had a couple ideas for different routes. I said, well, why'd you stop at the college? And he said, following the death of that fellow on the stilts, he said, people just kind of figured it might be too long parade for the 4th of July. For a cooler time of the year, probably. So that's one reason, I guess, that's kind of spurred them to move the parade route and shorten it up.
So we're going down Cumberland Avenue, going back up to Margaret Street, and we'll be heading south on Margaret Street, and the parade will disband on the other end of town, not far from Stafford Middle School there, as it heads down on Pine Street.
Yeah, if we had our usual view for the Battle of Plattsburgh parade, I'm sure we'd have a nice view of this group coming over the top of the crest there by the former Smithweed Bridge was.
There are a lot of parades around the North Country. Calvin was surprised that the Allenburg parade time was changed a little bit.
Alberg,
Alberg,
Vermont. Alberg, Vermont. I cover that every year, and every year it's at 11 o'clock on the 4th. And just out of luck, I was talking to a fireman from St. Paul, Quebec last night, chatting with him in Rouse's Point. And I see him in all the parades every year, and somehow the Alberg parade came up, and he said, well, I'll be getting there for 1 o'clock. I said, whoop, hold the phone. So, isn't it at 11 as always is? And he says, no. He said, because of the church services on a Sunday, they decided that they would move it. So this will be only the second time in the past 15, 20 years that I missed that parade, and both times it's because they didn't have it when they always do, which is the 11 o'clock on the 4th of July.
So they didn't consult with you at all, and
No.
I imagine it was because it was Sunday, right, as you say?
Yeah, it's because of the church services that they didn't want to conflict with, so that's why they changed the start time there. So we will not have the Alberg parade this year, and of course I used to enjoy going to Malone, but they no longer have their parades for 4th of July, and Line Mountain no longer has a parade celebrating the 4th of July. So a lot of communities have kind of gotten away from it. It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work to set it up, and perhaps that's the reason they only had something like 35 units in this year's parade. As we look here, down 35, Cumberland Med Fire Department holds up the rear. But I'm sure it'll be a good parade. It'll be a good day to wave flags. We've waxed nostalgic in other years, and I'm sure you remember as a young kid putting crepe paper around the wheels of your bicycle and making streamers and maybe playing cards hooked to the spokes to make a little extra noise. Lots of high school marching bands, and there are very few and far between these days. And of course, when we were kids, there were horses in parades, and now if we see one, it's an oddity, you know.
Well, I didn't really get to see a lot of parades when I was a kid because the sun was shining, and that's when you make hay.
Yeah, and literally making hay.
That's right.
That's true. I asked my wife about that this morning, and she said, no, we had chores to do. 4th of July didn't mind. I went to a restaurant to eat this morning after church and said to the person, you're open? She said, oh yeah, this is a big day for us.
Now, why would somebody drive down the opposite end on a parade here?
Well, you tell me. They're trying to back them up in a very small hole here. Well, I don't know if they can get through, but
I think that's what tickets were made for.
you think so?
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Oh yeah, he's going to back over some these kids aren't paying attention to him there.
Well, I know we'll have a little music.
Pictures isn't paying attention to him either. Really.
Yeah. I don't know how much actual music there will be in the parade today, but we know there are going to be bagpipes.
We heard the bagpipes.
Because we heard Amazing Grace and a few of the other wonderful songs that are made for this occasion. Oh boy, this is cool.
Later on today I'll be heading for Rouse's Point for their annual parade, and year in, year out, Rouse's Point always has the best parade, and this is their 50th year of doing it, so they're doing it right.
You know, as I've said many years before, I knew about the Rouse's Point 4th of July doings when I first came here before I knew about the Plattsburgh doings. And it was traditional for everybody and his brother and the family and aunts and uncles and grandfathers to head for Rouse's Point. The only problem was trying to get out of there. Talk about massive traffic jams, but they always do it upright in Rouse's Point. So that's also today?
Yep, it's always traditionally, there's been a couple of times when it wasn't on Sunday, but traditionally it's always been on Sunday, and it's always been at 7 o'clock. This year, for the first time that I can ever recall, they moved it up to 6 o'clock. I'm not certain why. It doesn't matter to me one way or the other. I'll be there whenever they have the parade, but they moved it up to a 6 o'clock start. But I'm sure there'll be a lot of people who just automatically know it's at 7 and won't be planning for a 6 o'clock start. So they'll be getting to the village about the time that the parade will be getting underway.
And fireworks are a little bit different than they were in the past. Many people who were our former residents of Plattsburgh, and those who've lived here for a long time, recall the old base oval. That was the place to be for the fireworks on the 4th of July. But that hasn't been happening for quite a long time. The fireworks now are generally held down by the monument. But we have about 5 or 6 North Country communities that still do fireworks, even though it's very expensive to do that these days.
They even had them at the racetrack last night. So
yes, they did.
Yeah, so a lot of people are doing fireworks, and it's expensive, and it's also, you got to have somebody that knows what they're doing, because there have been injuries over the years with people who weren't quite sure what they were doing and didn't handle those fireworks properly.
Yeah, and we know most people viewing this, I'm sure, know that fireworks for the general public are illegal here in New York State and have been for many years, although they weren't when I was a very small child. So we have people and kids and pets. A lot of people bring their pets down here and set up their lawn chairs along the way, and some of the spots are beginning to fill in now along Cumberland Avenue as we wait the start of the parade, and it's 30 seconds after 2 o'clock, so I'm ready. How about you?
I'm ready, willing, and able. There's Kelly Donahue, who's been up and down. He's been going back and forth for at least a couple hours. I'm sure he'll be glad when this parade gets going. Now, fireworks, people like me that helped get those things outlawed. When I was a kid at St. Mary's, a fellow whose name I won't mention that brought in some firecrackers, and of course everybody did that. It wasn't anything unique, but it must have been one of the first times that I'd ever seen a big firecracker. He brought in what we used to call cherry bombs.
Cherry bombs, I know well.
And they were quite big. And I saw this thing sitting on the ground, sizzling, and I went over and picked it up, and everybody's saying, "Get rid of it!" So I threw it, and before it hit the ground, it went boom. So it's dummies like me that probably led to fireworks being outlawed.
So glad you didn't hold that in your hand. Those
they were powerful.
Oh, they certainly were, and they would go off underwater, so swallowing it wouldn't have helped at all.
Well, looks like Kelly is ready. He's checking his watch. He just checked his watch. He's ready to hit the start button.
Yeah, he's passing the word.
Okay, so let's see. We got the police. The city police are leading it off.
Yes, they are. Then the fire department, Plattsburgh City Fire Department, will be next.
We've got this old antique fire truck here.
The old Ford they've had for a long, long time, lovingly restored, I believe, by the inmates in Lion Mountain some time ago and by guys in the fire department. And the Plattsburgh Fire Department ambulance. We spend a lot of time talking about the fire departments here in northern New York. They have one of the finest mutual aid systems in the country. It involves some Vermont departments and some Canadian departments. And now in recent years...
Well, it helped me. Mutual aid helped me last night from going to Alberg, which is another mutual aid site.
Go.
But a guy from St. Paul, Quebec, who was part of our mutual aid system, he's the one that alerted me to that Alberg parade not existing. And the reason he's in that Alberg parade every year is because of mutual aid.
And these guys are great. Not only the firemen, they have to take an awful lot of tests and accreditations these days, but the ones who are on the ambulances where advanced life support are terrific. They have to go to school and make sure they're licensed for what they do. So a real hats off to all the firemen, paid firemen and others. I think this parade is about to get underway. I have a feeling, Kelly, that we're underway, baby.
We're underway. Kelly's right there.
What do you think so far, Cal?
It's been a wild day.
Has it really?
It's been a great day.
You're hardly sweating.
I know.
That's wonderful.
It's a beautiful thing.
35 units. I bet you would have loved 70, but...
True. I'm not quite sure if we had 70, though, where we would have put them all.
Well, we
would have had to find a way.
The logistics are a little bit crazy, but a lot of nice people came out today. You couldn't have asked for a better day.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. Absolutely right. Weather's awesome. Even with a breeze. Thank God we had a breeze today.
Oh, thank you for giving us a copy of the lineup. That's a first, you know.
Well, I try to be sensitive now.
Yeah, you are sensitive. Thanks, Kelly.
Okay.
See you, buddy. City of Plattsburgh Engine 282. Two major, we got the main fire department on Cornelia Street and the other one on South Platt Street in Plattsburgh.
As we're taping this, we're a couple of days away from a fire at Pactive, which is up next to Georgia Pacific.
Oh, yes, true.
And when I was talking to Lauren from St. Paul, Quebec, he said he checked the local news channels, and he said Channel 3, he really was impressed with Channel 3's coverage of that fire. So
Isn't that incredible? Yeah. This is South Plattsburgh, of course. Something else Calvin and I remember, and those were fire trucks were red when we were kids. Now look at the colors here. This is the beautiful ladder truck from the South Plattsburgh Fire Department. They now have high-rise buildings, something we didn't have in the good old days, so it's necessary to be able to go up.
And that's one thing St. Paul has, in addition to Rouse's Point having a ladder truck. St. Paul also has a ladder truck. So they were keeping close tabs on that fire at practice.
Tower ladder, 329. Isn't that great? Oh, I hear our friends coming. We already had a preview when we started. They're called the police pipe and drums. And we have young people and older people, some people whose faces are familiar to us. And there's sometimes they work up in Canada with the Black Watch group as well. But it's always nice to have bagpipers in a parade. Let's listen to them. Then we have the Blue Star Mothers and Gold Star Mothers. When they say let freedom ring, they aren't kidding. Aren't they beautiful? Familiar faces for so many years, and that float for sure.
The Gold Star Mothers is one group that nobody ever wants to join.
Oh, I know. Isn't it amazing? And for all the reasons that people are familiar with. Local businesses are represented. Warren Tire Service Center in downtown Plattsburgh.
And you know, the floats are real close together because we're right here at the beginning.
Yeah, that's amazing. Of course, I live right on the river in Morrisonville, and there aren't very many real inner tubes that come down the river anymore, Calvin. They're special ones that you buy in kayaks and canoes and things, but that great old song by the Connecticut peddler Stan Ransom about tubing down the Saranac still holds true every spring.
Well, they used to tube down the Great Chazy through Champlain too. They'd start up by Perry's Mills, and that's when you had those big inner tubes. And
well, you know, for my money, they started a little early in the spring. Cool. If they ever fell off, it would be.
That's when the water's flowing. You know?
Well, that's when the water is flowing. Right now, it's perfect for me with I would say the water temperature in Lake Champlain and maybe in the Saranac River is over 65 degrees. And even though that's not quite warm enough for me to jump in, it is for others. We saw kids in like almost a month ago. Yes, there are politicians in the parade this year, and you're going to see those. That's just the way it is. Those people who watch Hometown Cable see a lot of stuff from Airborne these days, don't they, Calvin?
Yeah, thanks to Rick and Rob Knowles. They're back with all that Airborne stuff, and certainly there's a lot of folks who enjoy auto racing in our neck of the woods.
This next one, I'll tell you how it's described. I'm going to read it to you exactly. You know what it says? Vehicle pulling boat.
Vehicle pulling boat.
So you're going to have to use your imagination. If you know these people, tell them they should have had a more complete listing in the parade. Vehicle pulling boat.
Vehicle pulling boat.
I love it. Lady with dog. Vehicle pulling boat.
It sounds like a painting, you know.
Yeah.
They didn't say man sitting with young girl on boat being pulled by vehicle.
At least he's not fishing.
I guess the bass are biting. I was talking with one of Rudy Misek's sons before the parade started, and he said he's up in Rouse's Point last night, and he and his group got about 10 pounds of fillets.
Ooh.
Hey, that's Rick Perry pulling boat.
That is, I knew it was Rick Perry. How are you, Richard? Good to see you. Yes. Yeah.
You think it would have said Rick Perry in vehicle pulling boat.
Yeah, but it's part of the Warren Tire parade. Boy, that's a nice vehicle right there. Wow.
them convertibles.
Wish I had one of those nice red, white, and blue hats. Here comes the airborne contingent.
John Rock leading it. Big.
I love these old coupes, don't you?
John says September 10th this year at Crab Island.
We'll be going over there.
Yeah, big dedication, September 10th.
September 10th, Crab Island, John.
We got it.
Don't forget.
We're in. Our flag party. We got the Crab Island flags with us.
I love it. Here it is, the Crab Island flag. Look at these great old coupes, aren't they?
Yeah, we got John's name on it.
That's great.
And John just restored this Chevy back here. It's coming up.
How are you? Looking good. Sounds pretty good.
The eyes are that bad, he shouldn't be driving. He's saying we look good.
Tyler McGee. I'm sure you recognize that body of that stock car.
Yeah. Got the taillights. I don't know if it's a 55 or 56.
It's hard to tell. For anybody who doesn't live in this area anymore, Airborne Speedway is alive and well. Look at this beast. Wow. Oh boy.
That would catch the wind a little bit, huh? You'd think they'd be like parasailing. They'd be floating around
You
up
wouldn't
there.
want to do more than 5 or 6 miles per hour, that's for sure. Some more Airborne. Airborne's well represented here
Yeah, and I
today.
think they're only one spot on that.
Yeah, they are.
So it's a lot more units. Than,
So it will be more than 35 total units. That's great.
I saw Rick's son Rob Knowles here earlier, so I'm not sure if he was was riding in one of these vehicles or.
They could very well. It looks like they had 5 or 6 different vehicles in here.
Yeah.
How are you? See a little dent in the side here. Maybe had a little problem maybe last night.
Might have been self-inflicted. You never know.
Oh, you never know.
What's this one?
You just never know.
Looks like a football team.
You're looking good.
Looks like a football team.
It does, the North Stars, of course. There was supposed to be Benji's Cafe in between, which we didn't see.
Didn't see Benji.
No, I didn't see, but we got the North Stars football team.
I like North Star's name much better than Lake City.
Oh yeah, me too. Adirondack Humane Society, we talked about them a lot, giving them a lot of publicity in the old days on the radio, and now look at the doggies. Aren't they beautiful? I was looking for kitty cats. Oh, we have a cooler there, and we're not sure if it's water for the dogs or nourishment for the marchers.
It's kind of hard to put a cat on a leash.
Yes, I suppose you're right there.
They could herd them down the street.
Oh, yes.
On the mayor next or what?
Well, the Battle of Plattsburgh. Vehicle towing trailer with boat on it, it says.
There we go. This is it.
I love it. They got the music. And the replica, of course, of the USS Saratoga.
Yep, Tommy Lemare driving through. That was on a little segment of A&E one year.
Does it really? I think I remember that.
You're scaring them off. There's the rooster.
Yeah, you got it. How are you? That's great. I love it. I love it. You too.
I can't wait for September.
I'm ready.
See you in September.
That's very good, Calvin.
Yeah.
That's a mighty fine huzzahs, guys. Good job.
I feel a lot safer knowing those guys are protecting
Yes,
our
I do.
exposure.
And they're loaded for bear.
Craig Hilchey's going to go the entire way backwards. You're going the wrong way, Craig.
We got Girl Scouts, of course. Girl Scouts of Northeastern New York.
That's us. We're in northeastern New York.
Yeah. Girl Scouts in Beekman Town. We got various Girl Scout groups, Cub Scouts.
We got some Boy Scouts.
Ask me who was on my shirt, it says. Famous Girl Scouts. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. That's great. Okay, here we go. Here's the Red Hummingbird Foundation.
Big St. Bernard is ready to pounce.
I think there was going to be one beak that was gone. I wonder if that's Jeezum Crow. Do you think so?
I don't know. He's getting the dogs excited.
Oh my goodness. Well, this is a very, very clever homemade design. Reminds me of my childhood in Chinatown in New York City during the annual celebrations with all the big dragons and things. That's kind of cool. Very clever, made out of cardboard boxes and very brightly painted. Beautiful.
We used to call that follow the leader.
I think so, yeah. There's no lead them astray. Here's the Clinton County Sheriff's Department. Here's Sheriff Dave Favreau in the DARE program car.
That's a vehicle that they confiscated.
There you go. 94 Z28. We won't ask you to step on it, David. Not today. Nice vehicle, though.
Thank you.
Have a great day, David.
Donated. Bob Weeks, hand painted. Beautiful job.
Beautiful job. Good driver, too.
It was confiscated. It was just saw Craig Russell last night conducting the Straw Hatters. Get some real actors.
Town of Plattsburgh.
225 years old.
Yeah, making history. There they are. Look at There's Bonnie and Richard right there. Hello, hello.
Cover up. I got Bill Glidden back there. He's 225 years old.
Oh, at least. The Plattsburgh Nazarene Church. Nice old tractor.
Tractor pulling boat.
Yeah, they did it very good. Tractor pulling boat. You got it. They're blowing bubbles. You can always tell when a radio station is represented because they got boom boxes that won't quit. This is a country music station, 97.5 from Vermont, called Eagle Country. They play country music.
Somebody doesn't sneak up there and turn the dial on.
Oh boy.
Chance to step in my shoes. Oh, he was biding his time.
The Shumway Insurance Company. And our friends from Casella Waste Management. Somebody had to shine up that garbage truck, especially for this occasion.
A lot of spitting there to get that shined up.
I got that. Even I got the tires shining for today. This is Northern Sanitation, by the way.
I think they're now owned by Casella, though.
Probably.
Casella bought them out.
If they didn't, you'll hear about it, Calvin.
No, there's a Casella sign on the side here.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, had to happen.
That's it's the modern way, huh?
Sooner or later, I'm going to be right. This is wrong.
Oh, yeah. Another Casella truck.
I would have brought some recyclables with me if I'd known.
Yeah, throw them aboard. Yeah, just stop for a minute.
Yeah. Throw some plastic, some tin, whatever. I I was recycling when it wasn't cool. I used to save my tin cans and throw them in the metal bin. And
Oh, did you really?
I found out they didn't want the tin cans back then. What they wanted was real metal.
We had our version of recycling during the Second World War when I was a little kid, and we spent a lot of time collecting metal and newspapers and various things for the war effort. That's where it started.
Dirty dogs had more fun.
That's right. The Adirondack Pet Lodge is represented here. It says dogs and cats being pulled in a wagon and maybe a truck and maybe some walkers. And now we got them all.
This would be fun right here with that little dog head on it.
We got it.
90-degree temperature. That's my idea of fun, Gordy. Pretty soon the tongue hanging out of that mouth will be there.
Oh, you got it. Oh boy, yeah.
For the mask.
Those things are very warm inside. There isn't no air conditioning. Yeah.
Cats, dogs, dog boarding. I thought dog boarding was illegal. That's waterboarding.
Oh yeah. That's the Adirondack Pet Lodge. This is a living color tattoo. Everybody should have one, right?
I think so.
I never
Megan Bosley.
I never had the urge. Did you?
No. Megan's parents used to own the Anchorage, and grandparents used to own it, and then parents used to own the Anchorage.
Oh.
Well, thank you very much.
Hey, we need that.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Autism awareness coming up. Very, very important endeavor. You can read the signs. Autism affects 1 in 110 children and 1 of 70 boys. It's very important that we learn about it because there are lots of sufferers right here in Clinton County. That's a colorful float. That's very nice with an umbrella. Some of the kids got under it. That's great.
Over the premium seats.
Yep.
Nice turnout. A lot of folks showing up.
It is very, very good. I love it. We got the Adirondack Pride and House of Star.
There's my godson, Todd.
Hey, Todd. How are you?
What was the Derby girls? We had a few of them looking for their. Looking for their location, so I checked the sheet there and told them where to go.
Oh, that's wonderful.
They even showed me their muscles.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
We used to watch the roller derbies in the old days.
I didn't know Plattsburgh had a roller derby team, did you?
Oh, there you go. Now you know.
I think I have to get after Bob Getz and give them more coverage in the sports.
I would think so, yeah.
North Country
Lumberjills and Lumberjacks.
Well, I'm thinking, I don't know, I gotta decide. Next Saturday you'll be gone, but that Tupper Lake Parade is at 10.
Oh, that was fun when we went up there, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm thinking of it. Then I gotta get back for the antique gas engine.
Oh, that's true too, yeah. And of course the U.S. Army Reserve is here, and they've got some vehicles in this parade. Boy, that's a monster truck. We've seen it before, and that's a good one.
And people are cheering him. That's nice too.
That's great too. If they wanted to, they could go right across the lawn, you know.
Anywhere they want.
Yeah. North Country Alliance Church, Vacation Bible School.
Vehicle pulling boat.
That's exactly what it says. Chamber of Commerce. Bill McBride towing a bass boat. Adirondack Coast Boat promoting the fishing tournaments. How are you? How are you, Billy? Looking good, buddy.
That was one of our live shows we did last year, and they had their little
We
get
sure
together.
did. We sure did. Thank you.
At Bill McBride's.
Yeah.
We'll head back there this year.
Don't miss the excitement, it says. Come to Lake Champlain and list the tournament schedule. There's a Bill McBride Chevrolet car.
Yeah, looks like Lisa. Hi, Lisa. You were supposed to wave. And I think Rob must be the other side. I didn't see. That's Rick Knowles' missus, Lisa.
Uh-huh.
Look out. Kelly's going the wrong way here. Uh-oh. He's on his way. Something must be happening. Richard Knowles Sr. Alvin Knowles. How are you, Rick?
Look at this.
Oh.
That's the Bible Baptist Church represented here today. Lots and lots of balloons and flags and
When I was a kid, we'd take stilts to church a couple times a year for the high masses.
Yeah, sure you did. That's an old joke too.
I'm an old guy, Gordy.
Oh, I know. There's a mobile phone. You believe that too, don't you?
Yeah. She thinks she's really talking to somebody.
That'd be good for airmail. You could put a box on the top. Here's the Bible Baptist Church bus.
Full of balloons.
It's full of balloons. Looks like one trying to get caught in the wheel there.
Uh-oh. I'll take that bunting down in a hurry.
Yeah. We got another float coming. I think this is the Plattsburgh Assembly of God. It's a very interesting concept. First Assembly of God, Prospect Avenue in Plattsburgh.
That's the metal block.
Yeah. People getting squirted back there. There must be more fire trucks coming. Got some Little League baseball players. I don't see too many, but
Well, it's a little league.
it's a very small, huh?
Small league, yeah.
Still going strong after all these years. Boy, that is a rich history in our area. The various towns will have summer ball, I'm sure. Good time to send a hats off and a salute to all the recreation people who work in the towns. There they are.
I got five grandkids involved in youth league baseball.
Do you really? I love it. I love it. And holding up the rear is the Cumberland Head Fire Department. It would be very nice if he didn't squirt your camera, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be appreciated. They squirted me in Altona.
Oh, really? You got it in
Well, it wasn't the
there?
fireman. It was Anne-Marie Mahoney, or the Mahoney float. They have a big boat that they come through.
He saw you.
With them.
That's very nice.
With them.
Very nice dragon on the side there, the Fighting 18th. Very, very good. It's too bad Morrisonville Fire Department is here, but they didn't get a mention on the program.
Too bad that they're here, yes.
I know. I saw them getting ready this morning, so I knew they were going to be in the parade
You
today.
could have hopped on with them, Gordy.
I could have taken a ride all the way down, yeah.
Hope they're smart enough not to squirt us.
We got some old cars. We got a police car on the other end, and bet you haven't seen one of these in a while.
Daytona.
Isn't that amazing? That's a 65 Studebaker.
Studebaker.
Yeah, Studebaker Daytona.
And that is her, Gordy. That's
got sirens. I don't know if we got an ambulance coming. Yeah, we do have an ambulance coming down.
see, this is whenever somebody hears me talking on the parade, and I hear the sirens and the people are participating in the parade, I always say, don't do that. I know when I put the show on in Malone a couple years ago, somebody called Malone Cable and said, he doesn't like fire. I said, I love fire trucks. I don't like the sirens. You got real emergencies here, and the people have got to know that that's an emergency. And now somebody in the parade, shine your lights, blink your lights, do all those things, but leave the sirens for real emergencies. And a lot of parades have started to do that.
You know, the parade was actually 30 minutes long. It was 35 units.
Yeah.
Actually, that was a kind of a misnomer because some of the units consisted of 5 or 6 different vehicles, entries, and that was good. Yeah. So it was a nice parade. At least it got people to stop for a few minutes to think about what the 4th of July is all about. We at Hometown Cable in our little corner like to wave the flag every now and again to let people know what our roots were. And if you can think back to what was happening in this young country in 1776, then you know how far we've come. And isn't it nice to live in an area where we celebrate that history, which here in the Plattsburgh and greater Plattsburgh area does go all the way back to the Revolutionary period and before. Now we got a nice breeze. That was nice of the weatherman to do that for us late in the afternoon.
That was considerate of him, just to toot our own horn here, but anybody who's watching this and isn't aware that we're available worldwide on the internet, we say it over and over, and I still have people who watch all the time and say, "Oh, really?"
Yeah, we as long as they last, we hand out cards that tell people we are available at hometowncablenetwork.com. You can't remember that long phrase. Too bad for you.
You can go to Plattsburgh.com.
Plattsburgh.com is even shorter to remember, but it is nice that you have over 4,000.
Over 4,100 right now. It kind of slowed down with the hot weather here, but we were for a while putting up 100 a week from our archives, and we'll get back to doing that as the later part of the summer. So anything that we've just recently recorded, we put up usually within 24 hours. It's available around the world via the internet. And I've said for a few months now, and I want to keep saying it over and over again, that if people around the world want to see what it's really like in the US of A and rural America, they can just click on hometowncablenetwork.com or plattsburgh.com and see the real story, because there's nothing phony here. This is the way it really happens, and we're showing it as it happens.
There are people who think our country has gone way beyond that, but thank God there are places like rural North Country, Plattsburgh, the rest of Clinton, Essex, and Franklin counties here in northern New York, where real people do real things, and they love our country, and they celebrate all the good things about our nation, especially on a day like the 4th of July 2010. You know, I want to also mention to folks that you are certainly offered the possibility of sending a sizable check to keep this program going. It takes a lot of resources, not to mention gas power. We all know how much gasoline costs for vehicles just to drive to locations. Calvin does many in the course of a week. I do a few, and it's been a pleasure to work with Calvin for about 13 years now doing these Our Little Corner programs, and Bob Venn before that. So thank you for your contributions. If you are a part of a North Country business or an organization that has a budget for this kind of thing, and you would like to support Hometown Cable, these efforts are I think necessary, an integral part of this rural scene that Calvin has mentioned. Please get out the checkbook or get a $10, $20 bill and put it in the mail to Hometown Cable on the Ridge Road in Champlain. We also always welcome your suggestions about topics and places you'd like to see us go. Somebody mentioned a few to me this weekend, and we'll do lots more throughout the course of this year and hopefully far into the future. Thank you for joining us on the 4th of July 2010 on Cumberland Avenue in downtown Plattsburgh for the 4th of July parade. And who knows, where we're going to be next time for our little corner.